Cast, a podcast about the game of life and the hero's journey we all experience. Let's jump in with our host, Dylan Watkins, as he introduces today's guest.
Are you into virtual reality? Do you like playing virtual reality games? Well, on this podcast, I have Ben Plays VR. VR has consumed Ben. It feels like pure magic and fills Ben with wonder. So he has devoted as much time as Ben can to playing, reviewing, and curating the best VR experiences. Without any further delay, I would like to welcome Ben.
Hello.
Hey,
that
buddy.
Was a great intro. I want to have you introduce me in like every phone call I have and every party. Just like you talk about me before I enter the room. That would be great. Let's arrange that. So.
It's so funny. I get really into this like announcery voice right when we get started. I think there's like this energy that comes in. I go, "Hey, everybody!" And I was like, "Oh gosh!" I was like, "I gotta work on that takeover." You know, it's a little internal narrator that pops into me, man. Right. But I'm really excited, brother. I love the passion for VR, and I'd be very curious about for like yourself. What was that mind-blowing experience that got you into VR? Like, what was the thing?
It was really my first experience.
Yeah.
And it's really cliche to say, but for people that haven't played VR before, like it really is something that like watching clips on YouTube doesn't cut it. It really needs to be something you personally experience. This was back in, was it 2015, 2016 when the HTC Vive just came out. I was working at a place downtown Minneapolis. I'm a freelance animator working on contract. And one day the creative director walks up to me and he says, "Today you're playing VR." And I was like, "Well, I'm paid by the day, so okay, whatever." You know? And at the time I just thought, whatever, it's a screen taped to your face, who cares, But yeah. So my first experience was the Budget Cuts demo on the original HTC Vive.
Oh, yeah.
And playing that for 10 minutes, it was like, okay, now I get it. Like, this is like, you're legit in the game. It's one-to-one movement. It is the holodeck, right? Like it really is it. And at the time when I played the Vive, this feels like a lifetime ago because this is before the Oculus original didn't even have motion controllers. The Oculus was just keyboard and mouse. There was no Quest. So at the time the Vive was crazy. It had motion controllers. Like, my hands are in the game. Like, this is crazy. And yeah, it was just that first time, like 10, 15 minutes, that was it. And I was just like, it took over everything. Like, I don't care about movies anymore. I don't care about 2D games like this. It just is such a whole other level. And so my dad and I, we both bought our HTC Vives together. And so we play together all the time. And yeah, it was just that first experience and there was just no forgetting it. So
that's so fun, man. There is a thing that happens that like, logically, that this isn't real, but you're like, I'm here. Like, I'm here. My hands are here. I'm here. My body's here. And that's the thing that's like, oh. And it's really because we're so used to things. We're so used to watching like YouTube videos. We're so used to doing those things, but it is a game material. That's cool. And Budget Cuts is a pretty fun. It's a playful experience. Like, what experiences do you like to play? What are the ones for you? Do you find yourself, because I'm assuming you've played a couple of VR experiences, yeah. a few, right? Like what are the ones that really get you excited?
For this might just sound so cliche and dumb, but for me, it just really is Skyrim. I keep going back to that over and over again. When I'm not reviewing other games, that's where I play my solo free time. Like, my dad and I play mini golf a lot, and Rec Room, like multiplayer, we do that kind of stuff. But for me, I just keep going back to that. And I think I'm really, really lucky in the way that I've never played Skyrim before VR. VR was my first experience of that. And so I feel like most people, it's just like, oh, I've played this before, who cares, But for me, it just feels like the freaking biggest VR game out there, even though it's obviously a port, and you do have to mod it for the best experience. That takes time, and that could be its own side hobby too. But yeah, I just keep going back to that. Just like the atmosphere, they just nailed the atmosphere. Like, the graphics are a tiny bit dated, but like the music, the soundtrack, and like when it rains and you're taking a hike and you don't know where you're going because the world is so big. Nothing's really like that right now. I don't think we're going to have a game like that in VR in that scope for, I don't know when. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, so that's it for me. Which is, I guess, it's a dumb answer, but that's my that's my answer.
No, it's not. It's just what it is for you, man. And
Right.
I mean, VR, Skyrim in VR is super fun. It's been a while since I did it. I did the old like the super mod PC version that was like the warped. I can't even remember how to do it, like a warped uh mod experience for it. And I just started running. I started trying to run up mountains. I just started trying to run everywhere. Um, and my last experience before that with was getting so deep into Skyrim that I had to delete my account because I'm just like, I gotta stop. I gotta stop. And so I turn it off. But there's like this, I think there's this nerd fantasy. There's this nerd fantasy that we live in some sort of, I hate to use the word metaverse, but we live into some sort of open world VR MMORPG kind of thing where we're in it and we're running around like, and it's just vast. And I think that's that magic is we want that experience. And Skyrim is the closest thing that I've seen to it. And I'm waiting for us to get that next level. Is there anybody or any games that have come close to that for you? Or is there anything like that like stand out to you? I know, I'd say Alex, but I don't know what other things for you would even, if you could like make your own V2 Skyrim, what would it be?
That's a really good question. Yeah, that's a real good question. One thing I am excited for that looks like it's going to be open world is Lo-Fi. It's this cyberpunk Blade Runner open world game, and it's the only game that I've ever helped fund on Kickstarter. And it was supposed to be winter of last year, 2021. It has a Steam page and it has an itch.io page. You can look at some previews, but so they're a little behind in production because of COVID and everything. But they keep posting updates, and it looks like it could be like legit from the ground up cyberpunk open world. Like you're in this hover car and it's neon lights everywhere, all kinds of weapons, and I think that could be incredibly fun. Like another open world, but in that style. I think I'm just a real sucker for like expansive environments. Like I feel like I'm traveling and seeing new places. Also virtual tourism in the, not the real world because it's virtual, but like virtual tourism of the real world. I really like if you feel like you can visit Japan or you feel like you visit other countries. There's a few things like that now, and I think that's really powerful too. That's probably,
have you played one? Like, have you like the virtual tourism thing that I've tried? You kind of just get, it's like Google Maps where you kind of just land and you're like the little man. You know, you can like drag the little man. You get dropped down, and you like look around. You're like, I'm this building. I haven't really experienced one because it's been a little bit since I've tried one of those, of being able to have it be like really interactive at all. Like besides just feeling like you're looking at like a 360 imagery. Is there any like interactivity or things like the virtual tourisms? Because I haven't tried any that beyond like just look at like there's just no people, there's no interactivity, there's no stuff. Have you seen ones that have had any bit of magic like that in there?
Nothing that deep, no. And that would be really killer. Like to visit a place and there's like characters to talk to, or you could like try the local cuisine. You wouldn't be eating it for real, but, but to like be able to handle these things or to get more hands-on with it. Because the virtual tourism stuff, like one that just came to mind was Waka Marina Valley, New Zealand. It's on Steam. It's on Steam VR, and you are just exploring. Like you have a camera and you're taking pictures and like taking a virtual hike. So there really isn't all that much interaction, but it still feels like I'm in a different place. But yeah, if they could also do that where it's highly interactive, that would be killer.
I can't help but to think of like doing some sort of like New Zealand. I imagine think of like, could someone put mods on top of that where you have like a little hobbit running around? You know, you come across Gandalf, and he's like, "You got to return the king to Mordor. You got to go that way across New Zealand." You know,
right?
That'd be incredible. Right now for yourself, like with what you have, like in terms of your setup and everything, like how are you currently? Like, are you going full out? Do you have like feet tracking, all that stuff? Like, what's your current setup that you have right now for virtual reality?
Right now, it's I have this Lenovo PC that was turnkey pre-built. It's the same one we bought 5 years ago. The original PC. It's still kicking somehow.
Nice.
Which I'm incredibly thankful for. Like I treat it like a baby because the GPU shortage and the electronic shortage. It's I don't want to buy a new PC right now. And so even though it's dated and it's aging, I'm like treating it very, very carefully and being very nice to it. And so it's just the one PC, and then we record and edit the videos on my iMac, and just a real bare bones setup in our tiny living room in our tiny apartment. Yeah, we don't have like a studio. Half the time in my Let's Plays, you can see Mrs. Ben walking around doing her thing because we're constantly bumping into each other in this tiny apartment. And so I hope to maybe one day buy a house and like have this ultimate VR room. But right now it's very much, it's very cozy, I'll say.
Yeah.
Right now.
That's the best thing about VR though, like you don't, you can have a little tiny room and just be anywhere, anyone, any place, anywhere, anytime. And that's what's really fun. And I think a lot of people don't see that when they look at your videos online and they see everything, they don't have a sense of appreciation where you're at and where you're standing and the family members that are walking around you. What has been your journey into going onto YouTube and producing videos? Like, can you talk to me about like the genesis of that and your journey into creating a channel on YouTube?
Yeah, there's actually, I was simultaneously hoping to be giving, but also very selfish when I started that, because when my dad and I both got our Vives, we would have these VR parties to sort of spread the word, because the only reason I got into it is because someone else shared it with me, and I wanted to share it for others as well. And so we would have VR parties where we would bring our two systems together and invite everyone we knew to play multiplayer games. And we really enjoyed sharing that experience. And we just kind of hit a wall with how many people we knew, like how many friends we had. And so it felt like trying to make things about it on YouTube would be the next level, with sharing it and spreading the word about it. And back in 2016, that felt like a real novel thing. Like right now there's 1 million VR tubers, which is great. Like it's wonderful that it's getting so popular. But at the time it kind of felt like filling a need, especially when I was browsing the Steam new releases. I couldn't find very many video reviews or footage of games because it was all so new.
Yeah.
But I also selfishly wanted to get games for free.
Yeah.
One day I came across that Steam page that shows you how much you spent on your account in total. And I was like, oh my God, because I bought basically every VR thing I could get because I wanted to try everything. And I was like, okay, this number is embarrassing. Like, this is bad. I should not be spending this much on just trying out software, And so, so that box has definitely been checked. Like I did virtually everything as a Steam key to review, and I try to review as much as I can still, but so yeah, I wanted to share and spread the good word, but also I selfishly didn't want to empty my wallet with every single Steam release,
So you turned your addiction into a profession. That's a good move. That's a good 1-2 combo. And by the way, I feel the same way in terms of like, I fell in love with VR, so then I got into VR development and all that fun stuff because you love it and you get obsessed with it, and there's a magic to it. How do you I don't know if people appreciate the effort that goes into making content like this. Like, it's like, for me, the podcast is great. I can have interesting conversations with cool people and it's very natural. How do you stay consistent with YouTube? How do you stay consistent with creating content, especially being in the game for as long as you have? Like, can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, you mean like, how does the content look the same, or how do you just keep going at it? Like
how do you find, like, they say being a professional is doing what you love to do when you don't love to do it, right? And so, like, for yourself, like, if you've been producing content for so many years, right? Can you talk to me about the times that you've struggled with wanting to produce content and how you keep yourself to be able to put out content?
Right. Well, yeah, it is a struggle sometimes, especially because I should mention that YouTube really isn't my day job. Like there is a little bit of income in it because of how many views we get, but it doesn't. We couldn't live off it, not even close. And so I still have the day job of my freelance work, which is flexible with my free time, which is good. But so that's another struggle on top of that. Like, on a related note, I'm only recently getting back into the channel again because the past 6 months, like the fall and winter of last year, my day job was just insane. Like for some reason, every client called me at the same time, and because it's freelance, you have to say yes because you don't know when the next job will be. And so, like the channel really had to go on the back burner for a while there. Like I was uploading maybe once a month, which is really slow for me. But you gotta pay those bills, and so only recently have I really gotten back into it, which feels great again. And but as far as how to like keep at it, I think, yeah, I don't know. Like there's something about like I'm wired a certain way where it's like I get up and it's like, okay, I haven't made content in a while. I think I pressure myself, like I need to output more, or I need to like there's no deadline and there's no need to do it, but there's just something like a feeling I have where it's like I haven't output in a while. I need to get back into that or keep at it, and I don't know if it's like an internal pressure or an internal voice, but like once I do that and I check it off, like this morning I published a video, the Kung Fu fighting one, which is a lot of fun. And after I check that box in my head, it's like mentally I'm like, okay, I'm good for a few days, I can relax. But then in a few days I'll be like, I should really upload again. And I don't have a good reason to. Like, it's just like this weird internal, like I should do it. And it's vague, but it's there, if that makes sense, I hope.
Yeah. I mean, so it's more of like an itch you have to scratch.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, just curious about that because I mean, I think a lot of YouTubers, I mean, you do it because of like people that I know in spaces. It's out of a passion, and it's not your main job. You have a day job, right? And so this is like a side work. I mean, you're producing content and value for people, which is awesome. But then people start to kind of also expect it a little bit. Like, hey, man, kick out more stuff. I gotta work. I got stuff to do, And so it becomes a bit of a challenge. And you say that you do primary animation. Is that?
Yeah, my day job is animation, like using mostly Adobe After Effects. So a lot of text animation, some character animation, videos for corporations and ad agencies and stuff like that. And so,
do you use the Adobe? It was Mixamo.
I haven't heard of that. I'm not sure what that is.
It's a 3D character model and rigging thing. I think Adobe acquired them. It
I
allows
didn't
you to
know that.
yeah. There used to be an independent house where you would have like all these humanoid characters, and you could basically mix and match all of the animations. I believe it was called Mixamo, and then Adobe acquired them and called it Adobe something, Adobe models and characters or something like that.
Okay.
And then you could then do that for models and animation. So if you want to string together, you could load it up like a Kung Fu fighter with a bunch of Kung Fu moves, and you have it animated in the T pose, right? And then you bring in all the different animations and stuff, and it's just a really easy way to get up and running with it. I know that because I did that for a lot of VR development, and then they got acquired by Adobe, and I was like, oh, I was curious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I wrote that down. I gotta check that out. I'm actually really behind in my workflow. Like, I think I'm like aging and I'm becoming a grumpy old man very slowly because like my Adobe workflow is like I'm still on Adobe CC 2018 when everyone else is on 2021. I'm like, it's a lot. I know it works. My scripts work. My workflow works. I don't want to upgrade. I'm stuck on 2018. And so any like Adobe advances I'm completely ignorant of because I'm like, I'm not leaving CC 2018. I'm staying right here because everything works. Like I don't want to break anything. And but I do need to, sooner or later, I do need to get at least within this decade.
The grumpy old man who plays VR. It's so funny. But there's things that you don't want to adopt to, like for myself, like same thing. Like and I've seen that a lot with like people in the VR space for myself and everything. There's two adoptions I've struggled with. One was cryptocurrency and that kind of stuff, NFTs and cryptocurrencies. There's something about the gamers, like VR gamers and developers kind of hate cryptocurrency and NFTs. It kind of smells like microtransactions. And the other one is TikTok. Is kind of TikTok space. Those are two of the areas for me. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. And I felt that grumpy old man energy. And I'm like, I don't know what I don't think I'm going to do this. And I got into it. I'm like, oh, this is great. Oh, this is fun.
Right.
Now I'm highly addicted to TikTok. Oh, right. Wonderful.
Yeah. It's tricky balance too. Cause like life, you can have joy in your life when you try new experiences. But at the same time, I hate updating software every single day and like things tweaking every day, or this breaks that, or I decide to upgrade that. Now I got to upgrade that. It's like, can we just like have some stability in life without having to like update every little thing every 5 minutes, you know? But at the same time, yeah, like you were saying, trying new things, trying new experiences is so much more fun than being a grumpy old man. So it's like, where's the balance, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't get to answer that one. So you don't
Yeah.
use the Adobe Creative Clouds? You don't have the you use the hard application.
Oh, it's the hard application, but it's still the Creative Cloud subscription, so you still have to pay every month.
Oh, mhm.
But it's this weird thing where they tried to have their cake and eat it too. They were like, when it became subscription is required, they were like, it's the cloud now, and you're going to get frequent updates, but it's still just a application that you install and keep. So whatever, man.
Got
you
it,
got
got it.
you got to pay them and whatever. So yeah.
It's their trick. I mean, I like the suite of tools, the Adobe suites and everything. It pretty much it's one of the best. You pay for the suite and then you get all of these brick of tools. I mean, I definitely before had you know more pirated copies back in the day. Since
Yep.
then I just got on the suite of tools because then you have to know how to trick the system and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Have,
Those keygens and stuff. Yeah.
do you look at? I know. Yes, it was got to hit the keygen generator a bunch of different times and turn off the notification systems and
Right.
it's all these tracks. But not so much anymore. But with being an artist and animator and things like that, do you have an eye for that when you play VR experiences? Do you look at the way certain people are making things and things like that? Has there been any games or experiences as an artist that's really stood out to you that you're like, wow, that's really cool or beautiful or innovative? Is there any ones that are top of mind for you?
Yeah, one that pops into my head right away. Actually, two of them would be Transpose,
Uh-huh.
which is kind of an older, dated puzzle game. It was this game where you record looped duplicates of yourself to solve puzzles, and it's like Tron-like world.
Oh, interesting.
And I remember playing that, and when I first played it, I thought the IK they did, the inverse kinematics of how the arm moved based on how your arm moved, I felt like that worked really well because I had to do all of my animation is 2D. I don't do any 3D.
Mhm.
And so I do have to do sometimes some 2D IK character rigging. And so on a very simple way, I kind of get how it works in 2D. But when I see it in 3D, I was like, okay, they really nailed how if I turn my wrist, my elbow follows. So it's a beautiful game, really fun, highly recommend it. Although they're not doing a great job at updating it for the latest VR headsets. Like I think the Reverb G2 doesn't work on it, which is a bummer. But that was one that really stood out to me. But also Tin Hearts, that Lemmings game, to me, just in every way, visually with the animation, it was just like it's like you're in this incredible dream world, and it's a Lemmings game, and it's really gorgeous. And those two came to me top of mind when you mentioned that.
I haven't played the Lemmings game or the Tin Hearts game at all. So
It's
I,
great. I keep replaying it over and over again. So
that's definitely a good sign, especially like as like being in the VR space. We always have like a need to like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? I need that fix. I need that like that novelty fix. Give me the next game. So if you go back to a game again and again and again, that definitely says a lot. I love the idea of the transpose one because that novelty of using reanimated characters is real cool and being able to stack them together, kind of Naruto. I don't know if you ever watched Naruto, the an anime.
sounds familiar. I don't know if I have that.
It's a Japanese anime. Anyways, the guy could like, make multiple characters with his ninjutsu, and then he would use them together, right, to stack up on top. He'd put 10 of them in a row and then swing himself across the bridge. That kind of
as one does, right?
Of course. I mean, wouldn't you? It's natural,
I should mention quickly. Sorry, I need to butt in that the Tin Hearts. I think if you go now, you can't buy it now because they're actually working on fully releasing the game. So I think if you look now, it's not available for purchase, but it's supposed to again later. It's one of those where it came out in early access, but then they got picked up, which is wonderful because they can actually finish it now. So it's on pause. If you try to buy it, you got to wait for it. So.
It looks beautiful. I'm looking at it right now. It's got. I mean, it looks well done. It looks almost like Unreal, possibly. I don't know. It looks really clean. That's cool. What do you recommend for people that are like just getting into the VR space? Like, and if you want to go razzle dazzle, get people up and going, what would you say are some good ones?
Razzle dazzle. What would? Well, besides the ones we talked about, yeah, I feel like it's tricky because I feel like just about anything as your first VR experience will be great. Like, like just to be in a world where you are one-to-one movement, even if it's simple graphics. I feel like just a really the movement in VR and just being there and the feeling of looking around. I mean, I guess Alex is an obvious answer because they did a great job of that's the wow factor right away.
Yeah.
And it's also perfect for newcomers because the tutorial is nice and slow and it guides you really well. So that would be probably a great first experience. I imagine that would be pretty good.
Man, that's a hard bar to beat after you do that. And you're like, oh, this must be like how all games are. You're right, though, that Alex is beautifully done. I mean, they put like, I think like $20 million into making or something. Some obscene number. But
Yeah.
I mean, it shows, you know, the thought, just like in the teleportation system and all that stuff. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
really
we're in a weird time too where like I wonder if they shot themselves in the foot by setting the bar so high because I feel like I see people comment all the time on Reddit and other places. When's the next Alex? When's the next Alex? When that game took what 4 years to develop and people are bored after 2 months, and it's like that kind of content takes so long to. And who else besides Valve is making that kind of thing now? You know, like so where do we go from here in a way?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of AAA studios right now that are like secretly building their you know their games or probably reporting their games Skyrim style, you know, for it because it shows there's a real, you know, now it's really here kind of thing. But at that quality and at that level and at that commitment and that fact that it was, you know, Half-Life 3, you know, so it was kind of this like confluence of all these different pieces coming together at once that you're right. It's going to be hard for someone else to come across that and do that. Is there I mean for yourself, like are there games that like you're excited about that are coming out soon? Are there ones that like you have on the you know, you're waiting for the doors to open up?
Right. Well, yeah, like I mentioned before, lo-fi, I don't know when it's coming out, so I'm kind of my heart's on pause for that one. But they seem to be doing a good job with the frequent updates, and it seems like they're keeping at it, which is great. Tin Hearts might be around the corner. I follow their little news feed on the Steam page, and they're neck deep in development and finishing the game ever since they got picked up. And so the finished game is coming. I have no clue when, but I'm really excited for that. I have a candle in my heart for Starfield. Just maybe it'll have VR support. Bethesda's latest open world game is supposed to be this year, obviously, and no, I don't think there's any confirmation as to whether or not it will have a VR port or VR built in. But I know that the studio that adapted Skyrim and Fallout, Bethesda bought them, so they're internal now.
Oh,
and so please let Starfield have VR support day one. That would be incredible. I'd like to have something of that caliber from them, their latest AAA open world. Yeah, I have no confirmation or rumors about that. I'm just desperately hoping that's the case. So.
This is official news. You got it here for now. I have no idea. Yeah. In terms of like, it's so funny when you're talking about the LAN parties. You're talking about the modern day LAN parties. It is right because like I remember back in the day going over to my friend's house, getting all the computers together, rigging up the systems just so we could like co-op Counter-Strike or you know, or World of Warcraft 3, or there's all these old school back in the day games and stuff. And we talk about these LAN parties. It makes me nostalgia for the good old days of being able to get your friends in a room and be able to play with them and stuff. What do you like the co-op experiences? Are there any of the ones that stand out to you right now for virtual reality that like are great, like co-op experiences, party experiences, things that you can do with friends and just have a great time?
Yeah, I think if you're gathering people together physically in a party, which is tricky nowadays, obviously, but just about anything could be great for like hot swapping the headset because people can take turns and watch. I need to revisit that genre because eons ago, I did like best party games or best asymmetrical games where you could have one person on the PC, keyboard and mouse, playing with the person in VR, all on the same computer. I did a roundup of that, but it's really old, and I need to revisit that genre because there are great experiences like that where you can have multiple people playing together or people watching someone play, and it's entertaining for everyone.
Mhm.
There's that one. What's that one from Resolution? The squirrel one. Is it Acron? Acron?
Oh, I think
Acron something? Acron squirrel?
I
Something
can,
like that.
yeah. Acon Attack of the Squirrel.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that's a real good one because everyone, besides the VR player, just needs their phone. So the VR player is like this tree that throws nuts at squirrels, and all the squirrel players are on their phone. And so anyone with a phone can join in the actions. They pulled that off really well. I think that's a really good party game that anyone can just up and go. And that's one thing that's challenging. I think is that other games that try to do that, they come out with a bang, but then they those games seem to struggle to keep developing because they don't sell super well, because selling one copy is like selling 6 copies because people get together and play in groups. And so those games don't usually stay supported for long, but it seems like Acron has stayed the course, which is great. So it's still available.
Yeah, the asymmetrical gameplays, which like, there's asymmetrical. Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because it's asynchronous, which is at a time, and then asymmetrical is they have a different types of versions. So I have a headset, you have controllers. Like PlayStation probably has, one games where you have a headset plus you have the controllers, right? So you can kind of do it all at once. But
oh, I can't believe I forgot. Sorry, when you mentioned PlayStation, I just remembered Carly and the Reaper Man. That's freaking good. That's really, really good.
I think I saw it originally at GDC or something a while ago, but I never got to actually play it. But it looks cool. You're basically a large death character. You're the Reaper, and you're guiding Carly through these places, and you can kind of lay down and you kind of help this person along. Yeah.
A 2-player, you can play single player, but 2-player requires a lot of communication because you need each other to complete it. But I think it's on PlayStation now, or at least it was going to be soon. And so just wanted to put that in there when you mentioned that. So.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'll check it out. Because that's always the questions you get because it kind of feels like when you have a VR headset and you're at an event or something like that, it almost feels like other people are outside the party, like in the rain, looking inside you, having fun. They're like, "Hey, what are you doing? Can I come in and play?" And you're like, "Oh my god, it's the greatest thing ever!" Right? You have to and so it's cool when you can bring people in. I know that the Keep Talking Nobody Explodes.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. You want to talk about a great way to create a fight, a great fight maker. It's a blue one, it's a red one.
Yeah.
So those are some of the fun things that I have. Do you have any in all the games that you play, do you have memorable moments that stand out to you? Things that kind of forever, like when you think about playing, whether you're playing by yourself or you're playing with other people, as like one of those moments that kind of burns into your brains. Like I know you talked the beginning one, which was like getting kickstarted, but there are other ones that you had where you had like magic moments in VR that really kind of you think about and go, wow, I can't even recreate that experience.
Yeah, I think those occur for me mostly with the exploration and traveling experiences, like we alluded to before. Like to feel like I'm taking in a vista in front of me, or like on top of a mountain or some beautiful landscape, like to feel like I'm actually in a different place. Sometimes that'll just really click in my brain in just the right way, and I really forget where I am, like truly forget. Like I'm actually, because there's these times where you're playing a game, it feels real, but you're playing a game, you can take it off to do whatever. But every once in a while, I'll sit down and like take in a landscape or something, and it's just like this moment where I forgot I was in United States of America or whatever, my apartment or whatever. Like I forgot where I really was, or even forgot who I was. Like I was actually someone else for 30 seconds. Or for me, it's very, very quick. It's like 8 seconds and it's over. But then that really sticks. It's like these little moments where it's like, okay, for 8 seconds, I really was someone else. And it was just, I think that happens to me for mostly the atmospheric and exploration stuff. Like if an environment takes me in, then I'm there, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I've gotten that a little bit with like the climb, those things. Cause you kind of you climb to the top, you're like,
yeah.
wow. You know, that feeling that you're like at the top of a mountain. You know,
Yeah.
I can see
And that's
that.
a good way to do it too, because you almost have the reward after the climb. It's like you've earned it as well in a way.
And that's that feeling. It's that feeling of just like that couple of deep breaths. If you actually climb to a real mountain or something, you just kind of like look around, you just kind of take it all in. You're like, oh, I've made it. You know, I've always, it'd be cool if you could like skydive off or something. I don't know if I'd ever do that in real life, but I like the fantasy equivalent of like, you know, the safety part or the squirrel shooting down. You don't play in terms of multiplayer experiences. Do you have any favorite ones for you? Is there any things that stand out to you?
Yeah, my multiplayer, I do play single player mostly. My multiplayer is mostly with others, like a deliberate meetup with, say, my dad, or my wife has recently fallen in love with walkabout mini golf, so we've been doing some one-on-one there. But yeah, when mostly it's very small, coordinated people we know. So yeah, things like mini golf, Rec Room is a classic. Every once in a while, Dad and I will dust off Elven Assassin, which is a really dated game at this point, but we have nostalgia for it because I think that was our first multiplayer game that we played, and so we returned to that for some nostalgia. But it's getting a little dated these days. So those are our usual go-to.
They have Elven Assassin's got a really good for arcade mode. They had for the arcades and stuff. And I know with Rec Room, I really enjoy those quests.
Right. Yeah, I forgot those. I haven't done those in a while. I should go back. Yeah, those are fun.
It's been a minute, but for like a small group of friends, like to me, like there's like the magic of VR. Come on, bro, save me! I've been stabbed. You gotta run get high five them, get back into the game. You know, it's a blast. Those little micro experiences are super fun. I don't know. I very much I don't know. I very much like the meeting up with your friends. Have you ever had an experience? I had this one time. I was at like the a conference in VR, and I had a friend of mine, and like I saw her back, and I'm like, is that her? And I called her name, and then she turned around and she's like, oh hey, and I was like, oh hey, and it felt like I was at a real conference. Do you know what I'm saying? I was like, oh my god, I was like, you're like, it felt that magic of being at an event where like I think I know that person, right? And then you like tap them on the shoulder and they turn around.
You had that moment of bumping into someone instead of just let's meet in this lobby. It's like, oh wait, that's you. I know you.
It felt like a friend oasis, you know. You're like, oh, person. I, because you know, like somewhat antisocial in the situations, right? And there's a bunch of people around. I'm like, oh, there's a person. I know you. Let's have a conversation. Let's have some fun.
Right.
What's your like? Do you have like in terms of like the kicking off the channel and all the work that you're doing with it, do you have some sort of holy grail in game for it? Is there anything that you want to try to achieve with having the channel in place and stuff?
You know, I used to have milestones in my head or ambitious goals for what I wanted, but the past few years have really helped me reevaluate. Because I think I am typically an ambitious guy with like my freelance work and YouTube stuff, and I think I usually have lofty, ambitious goals. But just like with COVID and like just how quickly disaster can come and just how unsure life is, I'm just like right now I'm just kind of riding the wave, honestly. Like I used to have like I want this on the channel or I want this number by this date, but right now I'm just like, you know what? Let's just see what happens, man. Like nothing's guaranteed, you know, like I'm getting old and I don't mean to be so in the dumps, but just like, I feel like it's also freeing. I feel less just like, you know, let's just hold on to it loosely and enjoy the ride. And also probably something like YouTube is something you should hold on to loosely because YouTube could in a flash decide, oh, Ben, you don't have a channel anymore. And then I would be powerless. Like it's totally their platform. I'm powerless in their clutches, you know. And so it could vanish in an instant. And so I guess I'm trying to find that balance between like the motivation, like you said earlier, of getting up and actually making the content, but at the same time, like, well, you know, nothing's guaranteed, and just ride the wave and hold on to it loosely. And so yeah, I'm just kind of whatever happens, man. You know. That's kind of where I'm at right now. So,
It's interesting because it seems like it's both those parts, right? Like that's the thing. Like if you find a motivation, you have a reason to go on. It kind of drives you. But then if you get obsessed with it, it can kind of eat away with you, and you can kind of hold yourself in this kind of pit of like I'm not where I want to be, right? But if you say everything will happen, it's hard to kind of get on that grind. It's hard to drive those things forward unless you really enjoy yourself, right? You find that magic and that gift in just the process, you know.
Yeah.
I could see that. Do you have any like what's your take on the whole metaverse concept? What's your whole take on that? Because you've been a VR believer, old school days like myself, right? What's your whole take on this new concept and direction?
I guess I'm with Meta, the company, and the metaverse. I'm just kind of in a wait and see pattern. Like what they want to do sounds cool, but at the same time, they're still making their money based on a Facebook wall of advertising. So it's like these goals sound cool and all, but when are you really gonna didn't they advertise the Horizon world? I thought it was called Horizon years ago, and they're like, you can come together and everyone's gonna make games together, and it's gonna be you can create anything and be anyone. And it's like I'm not even sure if that ever came or if they followed up on that. Like, okay, you guys are gonna make the metaverse. Okay, let's see you really make it. Like, make a Skyrim world where I can walk in and there's people to talk to and adventures to go on. How about you make it and then I'll go?
Yeah.
Like right now, it seems like a bit of a corporate PowerPoint. Like, we're gonna make the metaverse. Well, then make it, and then I'll show up.
Yeah, they have so they have Horizons.
They do. Okay.
They do have Horizons. It is out. It's it's like a really there's a lot of interesting things in there, but what it is a little bit like, it feels a little bit like kind of like a bit of a clone from Rec Room. It's really nice. It's very polished, but from last time I was in there, and maybe it's changed since, it's not as many people, right? It's not as many, and then you come in and there's like a moderator, like a person, an in-person in VR person there that goes, "Hey, welcome. Hi, I'm here for you." They're like a chaperone. Or where would you like to go? And then it's like, "Oh, hi. I'm just it's like it feels like you're walking into a store, and like you walk in a store and they're like, "Hey, welcome. What would you like to buy?" And you're like, I'm just browsing. Let me go through this thing. And so they had that, and they had a couple things in there. I never messed with any of the creator tools or anything. I only popped in for a little bit. I think I lean more towards Rec Room and the quest modes and that kind of stuff. It's it can be a little kiddie sometimes. Rec Room,
Right.
I've been schooled hardcore by 12-year-olds, hardcore, man. And they're like,
"This Call of Duty? What's happening here?"
Man, and they've helped me too, where they power leveled me, but they're like, "Oh, you must be new to this game," right? And they're like, "Follow me," and they're like, they got all these hacks and tricks and stuff, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm just trying to keep up." But it's I like that. I like the energy of the Rec Room quite a bit. But but they haven't had that full on adaptation of it of making it what they put on the commercials and stuff. So,
Right.
but I guess we're all waiting for that. Do you have any like in terms of like I don't know if you ever watch animes or any of the things where basically it usually is the fall where they do like some sort of like Neuralink plant into your brain, and they hook up the Neuralink to your brain, and like like Elon Musk style, that kind of stuff. Like if they had an Elon Musk Neuralink into your brain, would you actually sign up for it? Like, talk to me about that, because they're starting to do human trials. Would you plug up your VR headset to your brain? What do you think?
I wouldn't be the first one to do that. I might wait a few people to let them iron out the kinks first. I probably will be the last one to do that. I mean, I'm still stuck on Adobe 2018. Like, I'm not going to be the first one to do the brain thing. But I do like the idea of that. I do like the idea of that. I do dream of the hardware becoming so light and comfortable that you might as well have a brain implant. Like right now, even the most comfortable headset, after about 8 hours, I need to take it off, But if the headset is comfortable enough and light enough that I don't even feel like I'm wearing anything at all, then that kind of is the brain implant. Like there's no there's zero barrier. I'm not taken out. I'm not feeling uncomfortable, or like if it just feels natural all the time, then maybe we could have that without needing Ethernet ports in our in our brain.
It's
So,
yeah, man. It's amazing if it could all work. It's like, from what I've seen, because like I like to read, like my big fascination is like reading video game books, like VR books and worlds like this, and it's almost always the same kind of style, or like he had a headset and oh my god, it's so amazing, and then they plug in their head and then all of a sudden you're stuck, and then oh no, here we go, now it went from utopia to dystopia, and you're kind of screwed right now. And there's a little bit of that but because you have like this AI god that guides you through a place. It's plugged into the brain so they can make you feel pain. So they just start zapping you with stuff, terrible stuff. But also fascinating. Have you like, I mean, look at those things. Have you had like what have been some like terrifying moments for you in VR? What have been some moments for you that you're like, that have maybe made you have any VR nightmares? Are there anything for you like along that thing of like plugging in the back of rain and getting stuck, or anything on those things that have made you scream like a little girl?
Yeah, I personally very much despise developers that sneak spiders into games without knowing that they're in there. There was this game I played, it must have been back in 2016, 2017. I can't remember the name of it. Like, the name is so long gone, but it was a very, very, very early title where you explore a little bit some ancient ruins, Indiana Jones style. Very simple. Like you go in, you find a key, and you're done. Something like that. And for thematically and narratively, no reason at all. when you're in the dark cave, there's this like 9-foot spider on top of a human skeleton, and you're holding a flashlight. Of course, it's flashlight lighting, and I didn't know it was there. I turned around exploring, and there it was right in front of me. And like for like 3 days, I was just like messed up. Like,
I'm sorry.
And I don't mind spiders in real life. Like I can be the hero at home. I squish them, but something about, if it's 8 feet tall, I'm not cool with that. That's different. And so, I also don't play any VR horror just because VR is so legit, like a legit jump scare. It's just like, God, like I know people are entertained by that, and that's cool. Enjoy that. That's for you. That's great. But for me, it's just like, it's too legit, no thanks. Although I do enjoy a good atmospheric spook, like a moody atmosphere. But yeah, I'm definitely, that stuff really hits me hard, so I gotta avoid that personally.
You can't even cover up your hands over your eyes.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you're watching a scary movie, I have things I can do to protect myself. But the fact that in this virtual world that someone could craft a way to surprise you and you can't stop it, and which I'm sure for horror fans, I'm sure it's the best. Like I'm sure they're loving it, but it ain't for me. No way. So.
Yeah, there's some people people that know that like the fear is easily translatable into excitement, and other people just states as fear. And for me, I think it more states as fear. And it's like and so as a developer, it's really easy. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's a real like scaring people in VR. So it's a low hanging fruit. Yeah. Taking candy from a baby is like scaring people in VR, and I used to run some VR hackathons, and we did like horror nights and things, and they were like terrible experiences. But they're easy and they're fun. It's funny to see other people, but it is also not fun to go through. So I generally shy away from as well. But I was curious as I thought about the whole dystopia of getting your head plugged into it. I'm like, that is pretty terrifying as well. Because you're right, it is legit. As you say, what do you like? What do you think is going to make this mainstream? What do you think is going to be the thing that like brings us in, and like because I feel like we're still people are like, oh, that's cool, but it's not really, it's not as common as cell phones. So what do you think is that like what's needed right now?
Well, the Quest is definitely helping. Like they're pushing that so hard, advertising on national television, and it's becoming a household name now, which in as far as getting it out there into the public, they're doing phenomenal work getting it out there, and making it easy for people. And So that's a great tiny step. But even with the Quest and all those millions of headsets sold, it's still so tiny. Like it's incredibly tiny still. Someone on Twitter, I'll have to see if I can find an old link to it. Someone posted a graph of all the gaming there is right now: PC gaming, mobile gaming, VR gaming, and it was like VR was just like you could barely see it. Like it was like 1 pixel in the graph compared to consoles. Like it's still so tiny, which is funny because like people like you and me, it's a huge part of our life, but it's still such a tiny niche. And yeah, I feel like, well, PlayStation VR 2 coming out, that'll be huge. Sony's pretty huge, but I do have a candle on my heart for the theoretical Apple VR headset that might one day come out. If they enter it with, and I'm hoping it's real VR, not AR, and if they do come out with a VR headset, then I think it's instantly overnight mainstream. Like nobody had smartwatches. Apple makes a smartwatch. Everyone has a smartwatch. Like people just buy their stuff. And I think if they really do it, if they really ship it, then that'll be, well, first of all, it'll change the landscape entirely on its head, which would be fascinating. Like suddenly Meta Quest is a small company compared to that coming out. But short of that avalanche of Apple entering, I think it's just going to take more time. Like it's a slow growth, but the growth it's a sure growth, but it's kind of slow. So just takes time.
I'd love to see that graph, whatever it is. If you ever see that thing, let me know. I'd
write that down, send to you.
Yeah, let me know, because I'd love to see it, because yeah, you're right. In my world, it's everywhere. It's super common. It's all over the place. But there's so many people that I still give VR experiences to people that go, wow, it's my first time. And it's just like, really? It's like, really? And so it's
how could you not have done this yet?
I know. How dare you, sir? If you look at but if it came out with Apple, right? If they came out, it'd probably be like a VR AR hybrid combo thing or whatever. I would imagine it's not just gaming, right? They would do things that like in the areas of like productivity or mental wellness and things like that. Yeah. And I think they'd have to see a market for that. Do you, like, outside of the gaming space, do you use VR for anything besides gaming, mental wellness or productivity or anything else that you really like using it for?
Yeah, every once in a while I use it for exercise, something like pistol whip to get my legs going. Yeah. I do enjoy meditation experiences inside VR, and there's some pretty good ones coming out. I actually need to review one soon called Zen Vr, where you're actually taking legit meditation courses from someone, and you're in a class with other people. I think right now they're just placeholders. They're not actually multiplayer people, but it feels like you're inside a meditation class. And that's been I think that's really cool, because it can visualize things for you that say, like, if you do the Headspace app for audio meditation, there are things that only VR can show you, like how to visualize it and how to listen to their teachings in a more legit way. Yeah, I think that could be huge. Like, especially like, I was thinking earlier today, this is a totally random thought, but like when Apple came out with the iPhone, we didn't know the apps that would come. And now we have like Uber, which has changed so much, but it was just one little app that came after the device. And so I think those kinds of things will show up and surprise us. Like once VR is mainstream, what apps and experiences will suddenly change everything even more so? You know, it's so crazy early right now. It's insane.
Yeah, you're right, because it feels linear to us, like A plus B equals C, right? And games, Call of Duty VR, right? It's a right. ABC, right? But you're right, there are things, because those things do come out, that you can't really predict, like the Uber. Like what's the Uber for VR or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, I can't imagine it. It's crazy.
You can't. That's a fun thing. That's why it's fun to kind of bounce between the worlds of, because maybe there will be a brain interface, or maybe there will be something else like that, or maybe there will be something that I've seen some really there's a bunch of worlds. I know like the adult industry also is like big and up and running in the space as well. But
I've heard of that industry. I've heard of it. Yeah.
At the adult, yeah. I don't know if you ever Googled, it comes up. I'll tell you. No, I had some friends that like in a documentary accidentally got put into it, and they're like, "What am I doing in there?" On
Oops. Right.
oh, how did I slip into here? It was so funny. But like, yeah, it's just interesting. So yeah, so meditation could be because it takes over your whole brain because like it is about removing intrusive thoughts. It is about removing, getting away, closing your eyes, and separating yourself from the world. And VR is amazing. It's amazing at separating yourself and pulling yourself out. So I haven't
Right.
tried the Zen VR one. I would be curious to try that. And is it available? Zen VR?
Yeah, it's available now. I think it's early access. They're still working on adding courses. I'm in the middle of a review now. I'm hoping to do my review soon. But so far, I just want to mention that because that felt like the latest in that world doing that. And they're doing a pretty good job. So
I'll take a look. I'm curious to try it out. I know that one of the games that I recently tried, I thought was fun. That I know that you tried. It was like a while ago. Is Grapple VR.
Grapple VR. I
Grapple
don't
tournament.
remember. Oh,
Grapple
tournament, right? The multiplayer.
Yeah. You get grappling
Yeah.
hook and gun
Right.
and stuff like that. Like, it was fun to swing around. I can swing around and shoot things like that. Do you like? What were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
Yeah.
At the time, I was impressed with the multiplayer player base they had because that's the huge struggle right now is getting enough people. Like if you're making a game and it's multiplayer only, how do you get everyone to show up? Because you need them to show up. And if the player base goes away, that's one thing Rec Room has done so well, probably because it's free, but that player base is just always there for Rec Room. But I haven't tried Grapple lately, so I don't know if it's still a player base or not. But when it was active, I thought it was pretty cool. So
I played fairly recently. It was a player base. There was people in there
nice.
playing. I jumped in. We created a room, and then like 2 or 3 more people just started jumping in and playing with us. And we're like,
Okay.
"Oh wow!" They were like, "People, hey people,"
Right.
And you're right. That is the. What do you think is the trick? How do you think you build up a player base? Like, if you could give advice,
No idea. I have no idea. That seems like it's one of those lightning in a bottle things where like it's part work, part luck. Like, how do you funnel people's attention to what you're doing? I have no idea.
As a guy who runs a channel on YouTube,
Right.
it's so funny. I don't know how people come to my thing.
Yeah, it's. I feel like it's half that. I feel like that is half luck as well. Like you could sort of study, like at least as far as YouTube goes, like what thumbnails people are clicking on or what people want. But it still seems like you can do everything right and still be unlucky with like the algorithm and however they decide to push videos in front of people. It's the fact that the channel is where it is now is just bonkers to me because I have no idea why.
That's so funny.
Frankly, so
I'm just here.
We're just like I said, we're just going with it, man. These days, we're just rolling with it.
It's so funny.
Just rolling with it.
What advice would you give to like VR developers? Because you're talking a little bit about the algorithm for YouTube, but what advice would you give to VR developers when they're building things out? What are the things that you love to see? What are the things that you hate to see?
Right. I guess I feel like the challenge, especially on Steam, I don't know if this is true on Meta as well, but on Steam, like there's so many games that come out every day. Like you're just a drop in the ocean when you release a game. And so how are you gonna really stand out from all this constant releases coming out? And I feel like we've seen plenty of wave shooters, right? Or like you alluded to before, we've seen plenty of cheap horror games. Like we've seen it, And so I know this is much easier said than done, but what is it that makes your thing really special, like really stand out? Like the games we talked about earlier today, like the Transpose puzzle game. Like having clones of yourself to solve a puzzle. I don't think I've seen, I mean, maybe someone else has done something similar, but to me, that still stands up in my mind because that's still so fresh and unique.
Yeah.
Or like with Tin Hearts, we've all played Lemmings before, but for me, it stood out because the atmosphere was just so gorgeous. Like it's so beautiful. Like I go back to not play. I just go back to hang out there, So what is it that makes you really stand out from the crowd? Because I don't envy developers right now, especially as the market gets bigger and bigger. Like I know, like I struggle with my email inbox. I struggle to see every request. Like it's crazy. Like the competition is insane. And what is it about your thing that makes you really believe it'll stand out and shine in its own special way? I think.
Yeah, find that magic. Find that magic.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, you can't do everything else, right? I know I was talking to some of the people. They're like, I don't want to see another military sim. If I see another military sim,
Yeah.
I'm gonna shoot myself. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be part of it. I was like, oh, okay, Roger
Right.
that. It's
Right.
cool now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the thing else is saying is this is this has been great chatting with you and going across this whole journey of VR. It's super fun to do this. I know you're kicking things back off. I know you drop out some cool new things on the pipe. So what else would you like to let people know about before you tell them how to get a hold of you?
I want people to know nothing about me, so I'm just gonna.
We've
The less
doxed
you know,
you.
the
Go ahead
better.
and check out.
Right. Just, I want to keep the mystery, like, who is Ben? Who is this guy who runs a channel? I don't want to reveal my secrets. So
Funny. Oh
no,
god.
but seriously, I think we've covered a lot of interesting things and things
Yeah,
that
man.
I've been thinking about, and so yeah, I don't really have much to add. I think we've pretty well covered it. Yeah.
Cool, brother. And if people want to find out about your channel, if people want to find out, and watch some of your videos, where would they go to find that? And what would be a good video for them to get started on?
Yeah, well, if you YouTube Ben Plays VR, there it is. And I think the video that I'm most proud of that I think people should start with is it's on that homepage right there. I think it's the trailer video they call it, or the welcome video. It's right in the front there on the channel page. It's the top 50 free VR games. And that it's a couple years old now, but still a lot of those titles are still available for PC VR and some for the Meta as well through SideQuest, I think. That's one thing I've really enjoyed is showcasing free games because everyone loves a good free game, right? Like free is great. I love free, and especially for newcomers, like exactly when my journey started, I was spending way too much money trying everything I could because I wanted to. But nowadays, I'm a little jealous because newcomers can sample so much cool stuff for free. And so I really enjoy the top free or what's new and free series because free is great, right? And so, yeah, that one.
It's awesome. All right, so if you go to Ben Plays VR, you can check out his channel, and on there, the first video is you can find the first 50 free games to play. So
there you
go get your VR headset, get this party started. Ben, thank you so much for being on the show, man. I really appreciate you being here. It's been a blast talking with you, all things VR. So I appreciate your time, and I will see you on the other side.
It's been great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Take care, brother. Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Heroes of Reality podcast. Check out heroesofreality.com for more episodes. While you're there, you can also take the Heroes quiz to find out what kind of hero you are. Or, if you have a great story and want to be on the podcast, tell us why your hero's journey will inspire others. Thank you for listening. See you